got saved. I don't know today, I don't know. I might have been walking on water and doing all these miracles that Jesus did. When I got saved, prayer was not like this. But I'm seeing what God is doing in this ministry at this time. And so I want to encourage you. See, Monday, do not miss Monday prayer. Okay? And the second thing I wanted to say is this. God doesn't have hours of business, opening and closing hours. God is available anytime and every time. And so it's not like you have to catch him, at a particular time in the morning, otherwise he wouldn't be there, or he would be on vacation or anything. As First Lady was saying, you've got to choose the time that God, that is convenient to you. And when I say convenient, I don't mean comfortable, because if we want to just do it at a time when we are most comfortable, that takes away, because you have to sacrifice, to be with God. But we are talking about, we need to understand that we have put God in a box, we have put Christianity in a box and labeled it, and we have put it in such a way that if you don't do this way, then you're not saved or you won't be blessed. And that's not the way God operates. God has set you free, and you're free indeed. And he says, come to me. If you come to him 2 o'clock in the morning, some people can get up 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning to pray, and that's great, that's fine, because it's nice and quiet. Some people are not able to do that. If your time is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, go to God 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And whenever you make that time where you can be at rest when you're talking to God, when you can be at peace, when the distractions and the things that you would normally be bothered by at another time of the day, when that's not present, that's when God, he wants your full attention. So I want to endorse what First Lady was saying, that whatever time you choose, let it be a quality time that you can spend with your Father. Amen. I don't want to say much more on that right now, because I know she'll be talking about it more. But I just wanted to encourage you. Okay, so again, welcome all of you. And for those who are new, we welcome you to our family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And this is the way we do it. We do it in 2 parts. First Lady would minister, and then I would come on. And so what I've been doing is sharing on the gifts of the Spirit. The gifts of the Spirit. And we started last week on the gift of faith. The gift of faith. And we asked the question, what is faith? And Hebrews, in the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 1, it says, now faith, not now faith, but now faith, that's the emphasis, is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And trying to break that down, I was telling you that a substance is what something is made of. What it is made of, the real physical matter of the thing, that is the substance, not what it looks like, not what it represents, but what it is made of. A substance is that which is tangible, it is solid. So faith is what it is real, that's what you're saying. It's solid, it's fixed, and it's the substance of things hoped for. And hope, we need to understand that hope is not, you see, we use hope in a negative sense. You want something to happen. I hope this will happen, yes, boy, and I hope tomorrow will be good. No, that's not a hope. Hope is a feeling of expectation for something. We have a blessed hope that one day Jesus Christ will return. We expect him to return. It's an expectation. That's what hope is. Okay? So it's a substance of what we are hoping for, whatever we are believing for. And it's the evidence. Evidence is facts or information that tells you that something is real or it's not real. But faith is the evidence of things not seen. I'm going to break it down further. And I was asking you the question, is there a difference between faith, trust, belief, confidence? And people were giving their opinion. I saw a story, I was looking for it today on the World Wide Web, on the internet, and I found it. And it's a simple story, and I want to read it for you. In fact, it's a couple little stories. And it says this. Once all the villagers decided to pray for rain. On the day of prayer, all the people gathered, but only one boy came with an umbrella. That is faith. I'll read it again. Once all the villagers decided to pray for rain. And on the day of prayer, all the people gathered, but only one boy came with an umbrella. He had faith. The next story says, when you throw babies up in the air, they laugh because they know you will catch them. That is trust. The next story said, every night we go to bed without any assurance of being alive the next morning, but we set alarms to wake us up. That is hope. The next story says, we plan big things for tomorrow in spite of zero knowledge of the future. That is confidence. And then there's another story says, on an old man's shirt was written a sentence, I am not 80 years old, I am sweet 16 with 64 years of experience. And it says, that is attitude. So some of these things are different. And I asked the question last week because I've heard so many people say, when we go into a maxi, and in fact, let me ask you, when we go into a maxi or taxi, are we putting faith in the driver? I want you to think about that, because this is what has been said. When we go into a car, even if it's a private car, are we putting faith in the driver of the vehicle? Tell me, yes or no? Yes or no? Let's hear some responses. When we go into a car, are we putting faith in the driver? Yes, no. What do you think? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
Okay, Dr. Richards, we have a couple of comments. We have one says yes, and the rest says, we have three that says no.
One yes and three, only 4 people. And
we have one more yes.
One more yes. Okay, all right. Okay, maybe you don't want to answer that question. Answer this one. Because this one, I've heard even more people say this. And so I ask you the question. When you go into an aeroplane, are you putting faith in the pilot? Are you putting your faith in the pilot? Yes or no?
Okay, we have a lot of no's in the chat, Dr. Richards. So I personally think that it's no. We have one yes I'm seeing, but I'm seeing a lot of no's. We have a few yeses, but a lot of no's. And we have one that says no for both questions.
So let me ask you this question. If you say you're not putting your faith in the pilot to get you from here to there, what if you go on a plane and you find out that the pilot failed his exams? Will you go on that plane? Answer that question. You go on the plane and you find out that the pilot, he didn't pass his flight school exams. Are you going on that plane? What are they saying, Joshua?
Okay, so everyone is saying no.
But didn't you just say you're not putting your faith in the pilot? Didn't you all just say when you go on the plane, you're not putting your faith in the pilot? But now you're telling me if the pilot can't fly, if the pilot can't fly, you're not going? I don't understand that. Come on, talk to me.
Okay, so you have first lady's hand is up, but before that, we have a couple of comments. You have one says, I didn't know he didn't pass the test. Another says, it might be a little late. Another says, it may not be that he cannot fly the plane, he just failed the exam, so I would go. Another says, no, if he didn't pass the exams, he's not a pilot. Another says you're putting faith in the plane itself and the pilot as well because you don't know for sure if the plane is in good mechanical condition to fly, for example. Another says, I say yes. Another says, can he really be considered a pilot if he failed? Another says, if he didn't pass the test, they wouldn't have him there. So I personally think, Dr. Richards, I would still go in the plane because I don't think I don't really think the field test is anything too much. I don't think. I would still go on the plane because again, you're not really putting your faith. I don't think you're putting faith in the pilot. I just think you're just confident in the pilot's ability. But if I find out the pilot failed that test and he's flying a plane, I would still go on the plane because I wouldn't. It's not like some random person jumped in a plane, but I really think I would still go on it. I don't think I would make it such a big thing if he failed that test.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Joshua. You said First Lady's hand was up. First Lady.
Dr. Richards, I will not go on the plane if I know the pilot failed the test. If he failed the test, then it means that he's unable to drive. He's incapable to fly a plane. So let's be real, because if I know somebody failed their driving test, I'm not going in that car with them either. And I have to say what I believe, and Joshua kind of said it just now, I believe is confidence. We put our confidence in that person that they're able to do it because they are in that, as I said, that pilot position, you know. The pilot, you put your confidence in him that he will fly the plane and fly it right. So if he doesn't have he doesn't have a license, I'm not going in it. So I don't think it has anything to do with faith. That's what I'm saying. All I have to say, I believe it's confidence, and I think it's a difference.
So there's a difference between faith and confidence, you're saying?
Yes, Dr. Richards.
Okay. Anyone else? Anybody else?
We have a couple more comments. Another says, I put my faith in God to carry me all the time in whatever situations. Another says, I won't go because the air has no branches. Another says, I believe it is not only faith, it's a combination of trust, confidence, and hope to fly the plane. Another said, let's be real, I failed my driving test, but I'm a very good driver. Many can attest to that. I paid $50 to get my license. Another says, I never really thought of it in that way. Wherever I'm going, I always ask God to take the lead and bring me safe. Another says, difference is between faith and trust. And I personally agree and say that I wanted to mention again, and I see somebody put it in the chat. You don't necessarily have to have, I think, an official license to be able to be good at something, because I know, and I've even heard First Lady talk about people who fail a driving test, but they drive in their whole life and they are better driver than people who have their license, but they still aren't able to pass that test. Because remember, the test isn't just practical, it's also theoretical. So it could be that they fail the test because they just fail the theoretical aspect, but in terms of flying the plane, they're better than other pilots, but they might have not been able to do the theoretical part, which is probably why they failed the test. So I would also think about all of that, right? So that's why I personally would still go on the plane, because you don't really have to have I don't think you don't have to have a license to be good at operating a motor vehicle.
Listen.
Dr. Richards, I'm happy for all of them. Every person on this platform, I'm real happy. Every person on this platform, I'm very happy that you all are willing to go on a flight with somebody who doesn't have a license. So I guess, Dr. Richards, they will let me fly them to wherever, and all of us will die together.
Oh my goodness. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Dr. Richards, we had Elder Sheldon's hand was up.
Elder Sheldon, yes, let's hear from you. Is he on?
My apologies, Dr. Richards, you could not mute.
And so, good night, everyone.
Yes.
So far as where the plane is concerned, it took me back to a movie that I watched, and actually something that actually happened. this really happened in real life, where I forgot the name of the movie, where the captain had to land the plane in the Hudson River.
Mm-hmm.
And because of a bird strike, the birds hit the engine of the plane. And so I would say in going on an aircraft, I would want to say that, you know, I am first putting faith in the manufacturers of the aircraft, but I'm putting confidence in the captain, the pilot, that he or she knows how to maneuver, how to fly that plane should something come and happen. Because I remembered in that movie when the captain, because the plane was on autopilot, and the captain had to manually take over the plane, and he took control of the plane, and it was because of his experience that he was able to land the plane in the Hudson River, and no one died. Nobody died. And I mean, just say landing a plane in the Hudson River, that plane was supposed to break in half. And because of his experience, he was able to do it. So, but that came about because of his experience. So you really have to put your confidence that, and this was because of the years of flying that he would have had under his belt. And every time we go on a plane, that is what we basically depend on. The captain's experience and understanding the knowledge of the equipment that they are using, right? So I would want to say it's twofold for me, that I am putting faith in the manufacturer, right? Because we've been seeing a lot of things. Because if we're watching world news, you're seeing where these planes that Boeing making, I think it's the 727 or something. So they're having a lot of mechanical issues with them, right? So, and they're literally causing a lot of crashes and people dying, right? So you're basically putting faith in the manufacturer of the aircraft that, hey, you all are doing the right engineering, you all doing the right things, the people who servicing it, you're doing that. But where the captain is concerned, depending on his experience, so I'm putting confidence that the captain is experienced enough to take control of the plane, should the need be, and he have to take control of the plane to land it safely. So that's just my take on it.
All right. So is that faith? Is that putting your faith in the pilot to land the plane?
I'm putting as First Lady said, I am putting my confidence in the pilot, right? So I'm not putting my faith in the pilot. I'm putting my confidence that I'm confident that he's able, because of his experience, that he's doing it. But I'm putting my faith in the engineers that built the plane, right? That they did a good job, a correct job in the manufacturing of the plane. So I'm literally putting my faith in the manufacturer of the aircraft.
Okay. Thank you, Elder Sheldon. Anybody else?
Dr. Richards, we have two more comments. We have we have a couple more comments. One says, I still won't take the chances because we don't know who is safe. Another says, I put my faith in God to go in that plane. Another says, God gave us wisdom. I wouldn't go on that plane either. Another says, not me, Pastor. I love you, but no thanks. So I say, talking to First Lady. And apparently the name of the movie is Sully. Another comment says, I will put my faith in God first and put my trust in the pilot. Another says, I put my faith in God to give the pilot the confidence to fly the plane.
Interesting comments by everybody. Where does belief come in all of that? And where does trust come in? Are they related? Are they the same as faith? And let me ask this question. I ask about the pilot. What if you're going on a plane and you found out that one of the parts wasn't functioning properly? Would you go on the plane? Sheldon said he put the faith in the manufacturers. that they would have done their job. But what if you find out that there's a problem with a part of the plane? Would you go? You know, there's a story. I remember this story once where it's just a story. I don't think it's true. Where they said these people were gathered on a plane. They were, going on a flight, and they were all on the plane, and the plane wasn't taking off. And when I say it wasn't taking off, it was just grounded. And the people started to complain because nobody was telling them anything, and they were just there. And they waited an hour and 2 hours and 3 hours. And then finally somebody went up to the flight attendant, and she said, okay, we're going to take off now. And I said, well, why are we on the ground so long? 3 hours we are on the ground. She said, well, there's a problem with a part in one of the parts in the plane, and the pilot refused to fly until we change the part because it's too dangerous. And she said, so it took you all 3 hours to get a part? She said, no, it took us 3 hours to get a new pilot. I let that one sink in. What would you do if you were on that plane? So where is your confidence? Where's your faith? What's the difference? And this is what we're trying to work out at this particular time. What is the difference between faith, confidence, trust, and belief? Some people say we need faith to sit in a chair. When we sit in a chair, we're putting our faith in the people who made the chair. Is that really so? Can we really have faith in someone or something? Can we really? I want to leave that question unanswered for now, because we will come back to it. But I want you to remember that question. Can we put faith or have faith in someone or something? Someone like the pilot, something like the plane, something like the chair. Can we really put our faith in people and things? Next question. Is faith the belief that something can be done? Is that what faith is? Because what we're trying to do now is work out what faith is. And I'll tell you something. There's a good friend of mine. We have been very close for years. We're not as close as we were before. And we have had this ongoing debate on what faith is. I'll tell you who that person is, not now, a little later on, because I want to reference them with regards to something. And we still cannot agree. And this is someone who is a seasoned person, a mature person, an apostle. And we still have this ongoing debate and difference as to what faith really is. And so that's what I'm trying to work out with you tonight. And you see, first I told you all I was up at 2 o'clock this morning. Would you believe that is what had me? God woke me up because I was on my bed and I'm thinking, God, what really? How can I know the Hebrew writer said faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. But I want a personal definition, God. I want to be able to define it in such a way that people would understand, because right now, you see how we are still saying different things. We need a working definition of what faith is. And that's what we're trying to do. I want to share this with you concerning faith. This is what I have come up with. It's not a definition, but it's an explanation. This is what I believe faith is. Faith is more than belief. You can believe in somebody or something, but that's not faith. Faith is more than trust. You can trust people. You can have confidence in people. You can have confidence in the pilot. faith, hear me now, this is my, I guess maybe it's a definition. Faith is belief in God with the expectation and anticipation that he can and he will do something that is beyond our capabilities. Let me say this again. This is my, let's call it a definition. Faith is belief not in man, but in God, with the expectation and anticipation that he can and that he will do something, and this is important, that is beyond our capabilities. Why do I say that? You don't need faith to sit in a chair. That is normal. You believe and you trust and you have confidence in the fact that it looks like a chair, it looks good, so I can sit in it. That's not, you don't need faith for that. You don't need faith to fly on an airplane. Why? Because people fly on airplanes every day. It's a normal thing. It is a belief in God with expectation and anticipation that he can and he will do something that is beyond our capabilities. So here's the thing. You're up in the air and something happens to the pilot. And there's nobody to fly the plane. And you're a man or a woman of God. And you say, God, give me the ability. I never learned. I never went to flying school. I never did anything. But God, I am believing you to give me the ability to bring this plane down. And you believe God. You put your confidence in God. And you expect that God will give you the ability, because it is beyond your capabilities. You are not capable of flying a plane. That's where faith comes in. When it doesn't matter what the situation is, there's nothing that you can do to fix it. There's nothing that anybody can do to fix it, but it has to be fixed. That's where faith comes in. It has to be something that is beyond your ability to do. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So faith is not for ordinary things. And that's why I'm saying to you, and this is me speaking now, you cannot have faith in people. You can only have faith in God, because God is the only one who can give you the ability to do something beyond that which you are able to do. Even if you have people talking you through, well, push this button and push that button, that's not faith. Because, yeah, they have the ability and they're telling you, but they're passing on something that you could learn. You may not be able to learn it that quickly, and maybe that's where the faith comes in, the ability to learn it quickly and to do it right. But faith is something that only God you can connect with, because he's the only one who is omnipotent. He has all power, and he can transfer that power to you to do something beyond that which you are able. Are you hearing me? Are you understanding what I'm saying? So faith is more than just belief. It is more than trust. It is more than confidence. These things you put in human beings and even in objects. You trust that the chair will hold you up. I believe I can sit in that chair and nothing will happen. That's belief, that's trust, that's confidence. But when you talk about faith, faith is if that chair is broken, it is broken and everybody who sits in it falls. But because you want to prove who God is, and you say to whoever it is, I can sit in that chair and not fall. And you say to God, God, you heard what I just said to them? God, I want to sit in that chair, hold that chair up, Lord. And believe in you. That's where faith comes in. When it's beyond your capability, when it's beyond the normal, when it's beyond the natural. In a normal situation, you don't need faith. But in an abnormal situation, that's where faith is applied. When it is beyond you. Faith is believing God, not somebody. That's what faith is. And the faith that you have or that you exercise is evidenced by your action. You can't be telling people, my God says if I sit in that seat, it will not fall, but you ain't going to sit in it. That is why James says, faith without works is dead. It means nothing. You can't say you have faith and not exercise it. It is like having authority but not giving instruction. It doesn't make sense. Faith is the foundation for what we hope. We are believing God for something. You must have faith in God. That he is able to do it. He's able to do it through you. He's able to send it. He's able to whatever. But you've got to believe. Your confidence is in God. That's where faith comes in. This is how you connect with God, through faith. And whatever you're believing for and hoping for becomes a reality only through faith. Are you understanding? I hope I'm getting through to you. And this is how I see faith. Other ministers might tell you something different. But faith can only be put in God, not in man, not in human beings, not in people. You put confidence in people, you believe in people, you trust people. But you can't have faith in people because faith comes from God. Even Jesus' disciples asked him, increase our faith. Any questions, comments? I pause here. Does it make sense? Do you think that is real? You disagree? Talk to me, somebody.
Okay, Dr. Richards, we have a comment saying it making well sense. Another says, yes, it makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, First Lady's hand is up.
Yes, First Lady.
Dr. Richards, this is, all I can say to that is that it is extremely powerful. And one of the things that I was saying when you spoke about, is that faith or is that confidence? You asked me a question, I'm saying, but how could we exercise faith in the natural? You understand what I'm saying? How could faith be associated with natural, with the natural, And then when I heard the explanation of what the Holy Spirit would have downloaded into you, I said, that makes sense. I said, that's powerful. I love it, Dr. Richards. I do. I love the explanation that it is the belief in God. Whenever you think of faith, Dr. Richard, you think of Father. Faith, to me, the word faith is a spiritual thing. So you just can't put it in the natural with the chair and with a plane. That's not faith. And I love it. The belief in God with the expectation and anticipation that He, God, can and will do something that is beyond our capabilities. And that's it right there, Dr. Richard. Faith, spirituality beyond human capabilities. And that is just powerful. That I just had to say that. I thank God for that. That is just powerful.
I'll tell you something. That's what I was battling with this morning early. I'm only going, but God. But God. But God, how? What do you mean? But God. And he, listen, I just couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep because I'm saying, God, is years now, Lord. I'm trying to understand this thing called faith. I'm trying to understand it. And I'm saying, Lord, if I have to talk to your people, I've got to have a clear understanding. I need to know, Lord. And that's what I was battling and struggling with. And I'm thankful because I'm hoping that you're understanding. This is what God downloaded into my spirit. Any questions, anybody?
We have Sister Yani's hand is up.
Sister Yani?
Hi, good night, everyone. I just wanted to add the part of your definition where you said that He can and will do something that is beyond our capabilities. To add like a past tense of that, in that He has already done something that was beyond our capabilities, in that, because if we think about faith in Jesus, that's what it is. We could not save ourselves. We couldn't take away our sins. Like He can and has done something in the past that was beyond our capabilities, and that's why we could have faith in Jesus.
Yeah, and that's why we're going to come to that saving faith. Beyond we couldn't save ourselves. We couldn't save ourselves. God had to do it, and we had to believe that. Anyone else?
We have Brother Barry's hand is up.
Who's that?
Brother Barry.
Brother Barry.
Hi, good night, all. This is so, as Pastor Nicole said, powerful. And I was just thinking that when religions, there's this say, what faith do you follow? And then even people who like, what is my faith? It's like, okay, like, that is my faith in this life. As some as watching a show called Shogun just recently with the Japanese, and they take everything like what happened to them is their faith, FATE. But the question I want to ask is based on scripture with regards to measuring of faith. When they say if you have faith as small as a mustard seed. And I think it had another I can't remember the topic, but they were saying that the person was saying that they had faith enough for the next person healing. They have faith. Like if the person doesn't have faith, I have enough faith for two of us. So how could faith be measured to make statements like that, for it to have scripture like that if you have faith as much as a mustard seed, as small as a mustard seed, you could move a mountain. That's the question I have really.
Right. Can I ask you, Brother Barry, to hold that question? Because we're gonna come to it. I want you to remember it, don't forget it, and we're gonna come to it. Because that's one of the things we will be dealing with. Okay, so I hope you don't mind. I don't want to jump ahead.
No, not at all.
Remember your question. Yeah. Remember your question. Okay. So, anybody else before we move on?
No, Dr. Richards. But we have two comments before we move on. We have one that says, I agree that it is only God we can put our faith in. Another says that is deep, and another says I have faith in God for the pilot to fly the plane safely.
Listen. Anyway, let's not go there. We passed it already, so let's not go back there. But question: what do you think hinders faith? What do you think hinders or blocks faith? And the first passage I want to read is Matthew 17:20. Matthew 17:20. We just mentioned it. Matthew 17:20.
Good night again, everyone. Matthew 17:20, reading in the New King James Version. So Jesus said to them, because of your unbelief, for assuredly I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you.
So according to this verse, what hinders your faith? We just said it here. We just read it. Let's read it again, please. Say again.
Unbelief.
Unbelief. You cannot. Belief is part of having faith. So if you don't believe, you don't have faith. And Jesus was saying, listen, the smallest amount of faith is powerful. He said, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to the mountain, move from here, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. So unbelief is one of the things that hinders your faith. Give me another thing. It was not mentioned in that particular passage, but what else do you think hinders your faith or stop people from having faith? Anybody? Maybe I should ask it this way. What is the opposite of faith?
Okay, so Dr. Richards, we have a couple comments. We have one that says doubt, another says fear, another says mistrust, another says lack of knowledge in God, and we have more saying doubt.
Amen. Correct. Doubt, and doubt sometimes is caused by other people, detractors. It ain't gonna happen. You really believe in that? You really believe God will do that? You believe, you know, and we hear these voices in our head that causes us to doubt. And sometimes the doubt comes because whatever we are asking God for, it's taken, in our opinion, it's taken too long. Look how long I'm praying to be healed. And it ain't happening. So you start to doubt. And your faith dwindles because, as far as you're concerned, something wrong, it's taken too long. And that's where doubt steps in. And sometimes it's because of fear. What is going to happen if it doesn't happen? What if I pray for something and it doesn't happen? So we are afraid to pray, and we're afraid to believe. And that fear causes a lack of faith. Faith and fear cannot live in the same house. It's like light and darkness. And so if faith is described as a substance, then the substance must be able to stand the test of doubt, fear, and unbelief. In other words, if you have faith, it will cast out all your doubt. It will get rid of fear. It will get rid of your unbelief. So the question is, what kind of substance is your faith? For example, if I throw a piece of paper in a fire, it will be burned, consumed. If I throw a piece of wood, a piece of plastic, the fire would consume it. But if I put a metal like iron or steel, the fire cannot burn it. It can burn, but it will not destroy it. As a matter of fact, it will make it more pliable. And that is what your faith is supposed to be like. not like paper, not like plastic, not like wood. Your faith is supposed to be metal. And I'm using that because the writer to the Hebrews says, faith is the substance. The substance is what the thing is made of. Faith is the substance. So that substance has to be strong. Your faith has to be strong. Let's look quickly at some examples in the Bible of strong faith. Romans 4:19-22. Romans 4.
I have that.
Dr. Richard, before that, we have a hand up. So I don't know if you want to do that before the scripture was afterwards.
Yes, go ahead with the hand. The question.
Sister Debbie.
Good night, blessed night. I have a question, right, Professor? Now, I'm trying to understand what you're explaining to me, right, about faith, right? So my question is, okay, so let's take a child, for instance. What you're explaining there, will you say a child have that kind of example in terms of faith? Because if you throw a child up, let's say a 5-year-old, and they're expecting you to catch them and then don't let them fall and them things. You understand? They have, to me, that is a sense of faith. That is a sense of, they put all in you then. Would you say what you're explaining to me is something like that?
Okay, you were here when we started?
No. Well, I was here, but I wasn't here. I had to be traveling and things that.
All right, I read a little story from the...
I'm going back on you.
I read a little story for them. All right, and let me see if I could pull it up here. The story, where is it? Quickly to answer. And it says, when you throw babies up in the air, they laugh because they know you will catch them. That is trust. They trust you to catch them. It's a natural thing with children. They have this natural trust. It's called childlike faith, but that is not really faith. They trust you. They look at you. They know that you will catch them. So their confidence or their trust is in you. They don't know about God. They know that mommy will catch me or daddy will catch me or whoever it is will catch me. So they trust, and that's an example of trust. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, that answers the question.
Right? So they see you. You are the one they see. They don't look beyond you. They see you and they know that is my mother, that's my father, or that's somebody that loves me. And so I put my trust in them to catch me. I mean, they don't reason it out like all of that, but that is what really is in their heart and mind. Okay, so Romans chapter 4, verses 19-22.
Romans chapter 4, verses 19-22, reading from the New King James Version. And not being weak in faith, he did not consider his own body already dead, since he was about 100 years old, and the deadness of Sarah's womb. He did not waver at the promise of God through unbelief, but was strengthened in faith, giving glory to God, and being fully convinced that what he had promised, he was also able to perform, and therefore it was accounted to him for righteousness.
Thank you. Of course, we're talking about Abraham. Abraham believed God. His body was dead. He was past the child making age. But he believed God. He put his trust, his confidence in God, because he knew that God was able to do something that which was beyond him. Only God could do that. He couldn't trust anybody. He couldn't trust Viagra or whatever it is they had in those days. His trust was in God. That's strong faith. Matthew 8, 5-13.
Good evening, everyone. Matthew 8, 5-13. Now, when Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, pleading with him, saying, Lord, my servant is lying at home paralyzed, dreadfully tormented. And Jesus said to him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only speak a word, and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to this one, go, and he goes, and to another, come, and he comes, and to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled and said to those who followed, assuredly, I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel. And I say to you that many will come from east and west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the sons of the kingdom will be cast out into utter darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then Jesus said to the centurion, go your way, and as you have believed, so let it be done for you. And his servant was healed that same hour.
Thank you. That's another example of strong faith. He asked Jesus to heal his servant. And Jesus said, okay, I'm coming. He said, no, Lord. You don't have to come. All you have to do is speak the word, and my servant will be healed. That's faith. That he believed in Jesus so much because he couldn't do it. It was beyond him. But he knew that all Jesus had to do is speak the word. He had that faith. He said, Jesus, you don't even have to come. And Jesus marveled. Jesus said, I have not seen such great faith. You are believing in me. You have all the confidence and trust and everything in me. So much so that I don't even have to come with you. You know that if I say something, it's going to be done. Listen, that's the kind of confidence that we are supposed to have. And Jesus marveled at the scripture says. He said, that's great faith. That is great faith. You believe that I can do something that which is beyond you, and I don't even have to come by you to do. How many of us, we want God to do things, but we don't really believe. In fact, he might tell us to do something, and we wouldn't even do it because we want it done a particular way. Faith is putting confidence in God that he can and will do that which we are not able to do for ourselves. As we end today, I'm going to end off here because we have the announcement to make. I want to answer this question, and we're going to start with this tomorrow, God's willing. What if you have faith and you believe for something and it doesn't happen? What does that mean? Does it mean you didn't have faith? Your faith was too small? Brother Barry, you should have had greater faith. What does it mean if you believe God for something, or you even believe in God for something, and it hasn't happened? What does that mean? We're going to talk about that. We're going to start with that tomorrow night, God's willing. So we're going to end here. Thank you so much for coming, for listening, for participating, for being a part. And listen, I want to say to you, especially to the new ones, this is not about answering right or getting it right. This is about us learning. So don't be afraid to answer. Don't be afraid to say, this is what I believe, this is what I think. Because this is a family, and we're learning together. I am learning even from you. And we are learning together. So please, don't feel how to to put your hand up and make a comment or ask a question, please. Okay? God bless you. I love you dearly. And I'm handing back over